So as I was saying, this is the second time that Ukraine has blown up the Crimea bridge. Now, for those of you who are a little rusty on your geography, this is where it's located. It's also known as the Kerch Bridge, okay? So, I mean, you guys already know how I feel about maps that don't have legends. And apparently, Crimea has been colored in what is this, like dark? Well, it's like beige. And then Eastern Ukraine as well. Again, for those of you who make maps, you need to specify what that means. What is this, what does beige mean? Like areas where bananas are produced or inhabited by gerbils? Like, what is that? Obviously, they mean this is where Russians are located. But anyway, my feelings about maps with no legends aside, this is the second time they've blown it up. So how do we know this is Ukraine? Well, today is July 17th. 1 week ago, 7 days, the Ukrainian government finally admitted that they blew up the Crimea bridge last year. Obviously, we all knew that they did it because Zelensky, you know, he was filming some video like he always does, and he was gloating about it. The SBU also, made some announcement gloating about the destruction of the bridge. And this bridge is very symbolic because it connects Russia with Crimea, right? So Crimea has always been majority Russian. In 2023, 2014, the 1950s, it's always been majority Russian. That's never changed. And when I say Russian, I mean people who are ethnic Russian and they identify as Russians. So keep that in mind. And Putin is the one who inaugurated this bridge, right? So when they blew it up last year, they did it, I think, the day after his birthday. And, he drove a truck, across the bridge just to inaugurate it. So it's got 2 lanes of traffic going in either way, and there's also a railway. You can see down here, all right? There's a railway, 2-track railway, and dual carriageway road. So what happened today? The Ukrainians, they killed a couple, and the 14-year-old daughter is the only one who survived, right? So this is their photo, and they passed away. So I'm kind of struggling to, understand the strategic military value of blowing up this bridge, especially when they said before that, this is not only a symbolic target, but it's a military target, given that the Russians supply the war effort, their war effort with this railway. And, that's just not true anymore. I mean, barely in 2023. You could have maybe argued otherwise last year, but this thing doesn't play any role anymore in the war effort. And even last year when they blew it up, they repaired it in a few hours. In a few hours, the rail track was repaired and they had trains coming again. So it's a bit of a failure if it's military if it's really such a strategic target. But here's some footage of what happened today so you can see for yourselves. So this is from today, yeah? Yeah, so obviously there's some more graphic stuff, which I'm not going to show because I can't even do that. But, there's speculation about what method they used to blow it up. Because last year, the method they used was they packed a truck full of explosives and, drove it over the bridge and blew it up. There's speculation that this time it's what you call an underwater drone. Okay, so an underwater unmanned vehicle, right? So this one in particular is a Rima 600. It's British. Honestly, I don't know where people are getting this from, that this specific model was used. I tried finding a source. I couldn't find a source. Now, if you tell me that, that this is the exact weapon. I don't know. Yeah, it's possible they used an underwater drone, and I'm more than confident that it was supplied or guided or assisted in some way by the United States and the UK. Sure, yeah, no doubt. But how do you know it's this model? No, not even the Russians themselves are saying this. No, so I don't know. It's a bunch of unnamed Ukrainian sources, which doesn't really prove much. So I don't know where people are getting this from. But yeah, I've no doubt that they use these drones. That they've been developing this for a long time. For at least at the same time you had this surge of drone warfare, and we'll get to that in a separate segment in a moment. But in regards to the bridge, I mean, does it make a difference what they use to do it? I guarantee you, it's Ukraine being helped by the US and UK as usual. So, the thing is that last time they smuggled the explosives through Armenia, Georgia, and then into Russia, right? So it was a lot of effort involved. Last time they killed 5 people, right? 5 people. And today too. So I'm really struggling to understand how the Ukrainians view this as some kind of ultimate strategic military target. It has no military value whatsoever, none. If they think this is going to put a dent in the Russian war effort, I mean, come on, you think they actually believe this? They don't believe this. This is just some crap that they give you when they want to justify it. If somebody else had done this, you'd call it a terrorist attack. Period. If someone goes and blows up a bridge in London, it's a terrorist attack. I'm pretty sure the BBC would have no problem qualifying it as such. So I don't know why they changed their language when it comes to this one. There's really nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say. I'm sure that the Ukrainians are very upset about this bridge. Because of its symbolic value. That's what it's really about, more than anything. And sure, I understand, but Crimea, especially Crimea, put Eastern Ukraine aside for a second. Crimea, always been Russian, right? It's just during the time of the Soviet Union, and again, it's kind of farcical because it was one country anyway. It was transferred from Russia to Ukraine, and then Russia took it back in 2014. I'm sure the bridge is very, causing them a lot of heartache, but it doesn't really change anything. This is a symbolic target. That's what it is. Like I said, if someone else had done this, they call it a terrorist attack. The fact they've done this like 1 week after admitting that they did the first one. And you remember back then, these 2 YouTubers, the Russians, I forgot their name. We were just talking about them the other day they did this prank call with Kissinger. Back then they did it with someone else in the Ukrainian government. I think it was the foreign minister. And they also, they spoke about the Crimea Bridge, and he's like, yeah, we did it. Like, how many confirmations do you need? No one else has the capability nor the time and effort to go after, such a target. It's Ukraine plus NATO. Make no mistake about it. And, if you have any misconceptions about what this is, you can just look at who's targeted here. It's just civilians for being Russian. And the fact that this links Russia with Crimea, that's what it's really about. And if somebody else had done this, it's a terrorist attack. I mean, period. The fact they waste so much effort and time on this, I mean, is this again part of their famous counteroffensive? That's going really, really badly for Ukraine.